Good morning. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rance alongside Tommy Chrysan on this Monday edition of Sports Shorts presented by LeBear's Casino. TK joining us from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, from Court Street Cafe, downtown Port Allen, just right over the Mississippi River Bridge. Take the first exit. 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge. You can be at Court Street Cafe. And of course, I'm at an undisclosed location presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Check us out at lasportshall.com. Don't forget, Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame open Tuesday through Saturday up in Natchitoches from 10 to 4:30 p.m. And we're presented by LeBear's Casino, where LeBear's Casino was popping this past week. It was different. LSU Ole Miss was different as far as the intensity of that game this weekend in Baton Rouge. The restaurants were full, the bars were full, the casinos were full, the Bears, the ESPN Sports Bets was rolling all weekend long. And not that it's not busy during a regular LSU football weekend. It always is, but this was different. Anytime two top 10 teams in the country, rivalry, uh, you know, LSU Alabama's coming up on November 9th. Those weekends are different, and you felt it this weekend, and you could feel it. So LSU gets an epic win. The Saints get an epic loss. Major League Baseball, the Dodgers look like the best team going. Let's talk in a positive way and talk in a good way. First, LSU, one of only three teams in the SEC that are currently undefeated, 2-0. The other ones being Tennessee and A&M. The LSU team did not play their best game, but still found a way to win. They did not lead in the entire game till the last play. Nussmeier, on paper, 29 incompletions, 22 completions, like that right there. You're like, ooh. But if over 300 yards, giant kahunas, made plays when it mattered on fourth down and third down, and then, of course, the touchdown to Anderson at the end on 4th and 5, when the 23, 24-yard line, whatever. It was just an amazing throw. The confidence that he has in himself, the no fear factor that he has in himself, gets in trouble sometimes. So throw it in there. But it also is why it makes him really good, too. But Nussmeier got it done when he needed to. LSU's defense just has stepped up tremendously. I hate to say it, Tommy. It feels as if with Perkins not in that defense, it's made things better. And that's weird to say. I'm sure it's just coincidence. You always want a superstar athlete, want a great player that Perkins is. But maybe not having him has forced others to look at things differently, play differently, play together a little bit more. But it was an amazing performance by the defense. Weeks had 18 tackles. You don't see that very often. It was a special night, and the stars were out. I mean, you had Justin Jefferson, and you had Shaquille O'Neal, and you had Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz, and you had Olivia Dunn. You anybody and everybody that was a former player or had affiliation with LSU, if they could make it, they were at the game. It was a magical night, and it reminded me, especially the way it ended, of 2 years ago, LSU Alabama, when they won in overtime in the Thorn Field. It was that kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, it was a great day on campus. A lot of people told me it was crowded as ever. Of course, the weather cooperated for the most part, and of course, it was the 100th anniversary of Tiger Stadium. It was homecoming, as you said. It was an A-list of celebrity stars in the house. Uh, it was just one of those special nights, and it was Ole Miss, and both teams ranked. It was just unbelievable. You go to overtime to win. I thought maybe go for two to win the game in regulation, but maybe not. I guess. That's why Brian Kelly gets the big bucks. But it was a special night that many Tiger fans will never forget. Also, very few empty seats in the stadium. We've had other big games where, a handful of empty seats, maybe more than a handful. But it was a special night for LSU. The fans responded. The team responded. And they put themselves back in the top 10. They're ranked number 8 in one of the polls. And They're in the playoff talk now, and that can change going forward. But it was just a special night in a lot of ways for LSU football.
LSU up to 8 in the AP poll. I honestly, Tommy, it doesn't. I don't even care about the ranking. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't. The bottom line is that LSU can't lose more than 2 games. They can't. You know, they've already had one. They lost to USC, and that loss is looking worse and worse as USC lost again this week. I mean, they had a big lead against Penn State at halftime. They blew it. They lost in overtime. That would have been a really big win for USC and would have helped LSU. Instead, they lose, and they're 500 on the season. I mean, so they're 3-3. So, I mean, the USC win is not going to be a good one. For the loss, rather, it's not going to be a good one for LSU. And to me, Tommy, they have one more mulligan before they, you can't have 3 and be in the playoffs. You can't have 3 losses and be in the playoffs. Maybe you could if those losses were like, the top 2 teams in the country, Texas and somebody else or something. But if it's USC, who's going to be barely probably bowl eligible, and if it's Alabama, or if it's this weekend against Arkansas, or if it's Texas A&M on the road, whatever. If it's USC and Arkansas or Texas A&M, but you win all the rest of the other games, you have a realistic chance to sit there and think you might be a top 12 team, that you might be 11 or 12. But you can't have 3. And so these games are going to be, super big, these next 3 in particular. Arkansas this weekend, the line is short. LSU's at Arkansas, and they're catching Arkansas after a bye week. LSU's coming off of an emotional win where, again, they didn't play their best, but got it done overtime. Everybody this week's going to be patting their back. They're going to be celebrating. They're going to be watching that film. They stormed the field. A magical night. You got to turn the page and focus to Arkansas, who's sitting there chomping at the bit, feeling really good about themselves. Beat Tennessee at home the last time they were there. Now they've had 2 weeks to prepare for you. This is a tough spot for LSU coming up.
Really is. And as Derry Beckwith said on Sports Shorts Radio Saturday, Arkansas always plays LSU tough. LSU won the national title Beckwith's year. Didn't they lose to Arkansas in like triple overtime? But every year, I mean, as rarely has it been a blowout, whether it was in Fayetteville, whether it was down in Little Rock, like it used to be, or whether it was in Baton Rouge. So Arkansas is going to be ready. They've had that open date, and they're feeling good. They're 4-2. Before the year, everybody's like Arkansas, and then they're not going to get it. Sam Pittman's on the hot seat, their coach. Now they're sitting there 4-2 with a win over Tennessee and a chance to really make some noise if they could knock off LSU this Saturday. And like you said, it's a short line, 2.5 points. That may change between now and kickoff, but that's going to be a big one up there in Fayetteville. And LSU's going to have to be ready, going to have to play better than they played the other night. Yeah, I know they won. It's all about getting the W. They got it. But there's got to be some things that they got to clean up. And it might start with Whit Weeks. I mean, what a performance he had, because he had other plays when he had an effect, although he didn't record the tackles. So he was clearly the best player. And then Zy Alexander had a great day in the secondary. I mean, they found a way to get it done. Blake Baker's defense might be coming together. We'll find out against Arkansas, who will do all those crazy plays, and they'll try to misdirection, and it's going to be a challenge. And I've always thought Sam Pittman was a pretty good coach. So we're going to find out Saturday. It's another good one. Ronnie, months ago when it went to the 12-team playoff, people talked about it. We're going to take some of the importance off some of the regular season games. I think it's added importance to the regular season games. You got Alabama playing Tennessee this week. Loser of that game could be, out of the playoff situation. And then you got, Texas has to play Georgia. Now, loser of that game might not be out, but Georgia does have a loss. So, I mean, it's just it's fun. It's got people talking about the playoffs, talking about the 12 teams, and every game is really, really, really tough, especially in the Big Ten and in the SEC. It's, like you said, Penn State, flies out west and they're losing by a bunch, ends up finding a way to win the game. I mean, there was a lot of craziness, total craziness in college football.
5 games went to overtime this past week. 4 or 5 games of the top 25 were overtime games. Um, Listen, this is a giant game this week, Texas and Georgia, because it's going to say a lot about the SEC, I think. Georgia, again, has already got the one loss. Of course, as we all remember, Alabama and the epic game that it was. They have a chance to, you beat Texas, you're squarely back in the conversation of top team in the country, and you're, pretty much, I think, punching your ticket to the playoffs. You lose to Georgia. Now your losses are Alabama and Texas. If you win all the others, I think Georgia probably, is definitely going to be in the playoffs. But if you lose to Texas, and depending on how you lose to Texas, one, it can put you on that 11-12 spot, but it can also, put that pressure on you. One more mulligan and you're out. And how deep, what can Georgia do against Texas? Texas squarely looks like the best team in the league. But Ewers came back. Manning went back to the bench. Ewers threw an interception on his first drive, but then righted the ship, and they absolutely dominated and blew out Oklahoma. This is the stretch for LSU coming up right now. Ole Miss, at Arkansas, at A&M, and at home against Alabama, that we looked at the calendar and looked at the schedule and thought that's going to be the make or break their season, that stretch right there. Now, we all hoped and thought they would beat USC, be undefeated going into the Ole Miss game. Ole Miss would probably be undefeated going in, but it didn't happen that way. But these 4 games are just as important. And that stretch is just important, even magnified, because before the season we thought, well, maybe you got 2 in there you could lose, right? And you could be 10-2 and you could still have a legitimate shot to be to the 12-team playoffs. Now you only got 1 mulligan that you can have out of the 4-game stretch. You got past 1, you got 3 more. And oh, by the way, on the other side of that stretch that we're not mentioning is Vanderbilt at home in November, which is a game that we looked at and thought, bring the kids, bring the nanny. That's an easy. Vanderbilt, to their credit, props to them. They went on the road and beat Kentucky. And we know Kentucky played Georgia down to the wire, lost by 1. Kentucky beat Ole Miss in Oxford. So this is not a slouch team. Vanderbilt coming off of the win against Alabama, we all thought, it's not a good spot for them. They went and looked good and won and beat Kentucky on the road. Impressive.
It really was. And I think this college football season nationwide is get more interested each and every week because there's going to be some more upsets. There's going to be some more shocking results. And that's just part of it. Hey, they old saying in Hollywood, I don't care what you say about me, just say something. Well, people are talking about college football nationwide, and it's good for the fans and a lot of fans and teams, still in the hunt, so to speak, because there's going to be 12 teams in the playoffs, and the 13th team is going to be all upset. We get that, but it's going to be crazy.
This is a wide open year. The playoffs are going to be so much fun because honestly, I think anybody that's in the playoffs is going to think they legitimately have a chance to be in a national championship game. Like, it is wide open. The thing that I think I've come to the realization of, Tommy, is if I'm the SEC, I don't play 9 games. I stay with 8 because, if you start playing 9 games in the SEC, you're going to start eliminating teams out of that top 12, unless you change how they select those teams and to play in the top 12. The SEC is so brutal. Everybody beats up everybody. As much as I would love for them to play 9 league games and 3 non-conference games, I have a feeling that they're probably just going to stay with 8 because it gives them the best chance to get as many teams into that playoffs as possible.
That conversation.
What's that?
No, we've seen that conversation. SEC knows it's tough to play 8. You play that 9th one, and you got more toughness, more craziness.
Yeah, it's better for the fans than 9, but it's all about getting as many teams into those playoffs as possible. And I think that's after this year and all the craziness, it's only 3 teams undefeated in league play this early in the season because everybody's beating everybody. I think you're looking at a situation where they don't do that. All right, let's move. That's the positive. The positive is that it was a magical night Saturday night in Tiger Stadium. The Tigers took care of business. The defenses improved. Nussmeier showed big kahunas. The fans stormed the field. LSU's getting fined $250,000. I think that's a goofy rule, but whatever. It goes to charity anyway. But now let's talk about the negative. Joel Davis, even though he's disengaged from New Orleans Saints, he says on sports radio, and that he's emotionally not connected. He knew better going into this season. I think someone should still check on him. The Saints played one of the weirdest games I've ever seen yesterday. I was at the Dome. Saints were leading at halftime. Or were they trailing by 3 or leading by 3?
Leading by 3 at half after being down 17-0 with a couple of blinks of the eye.
They were down 17-0. The Tampa Bay Bucks decided to bring Christmas early and just start handing out gifts. Baker threw 3 interceptions. The ball bounced. The Saints had a punt return for a touchdown. Everything went the Saints' way. They were leading at halftime, but yet it was clear. And there was no juice in that stadium yesterday, by the way, Tommy. There was no juice in that stadium. It was dead man walking. The Saints fans knew it's over before the game. Like, it was no juice. This was not the 2 previous games that the Saints played in the Dome, where the energy was there, right? The home opener against Carolina, the game against the Eagles. None of that. This was vanilla. And you knew it was fool's gold. It was gross the first half, but somehow you still were winning. It didn't make sense. It didn't add up. And then sure enough, Cinderella struck midnight, and the second half was all Tampa Bay. They absolutely embarrassed the Saints. The Saints defense quit. No question about it. The Saints defense quit. And they unfortunately played Spencer Rattler. And again, I made the analogy that they're going to pop the wine before it's time, and it definitely was before its time. He looked like not only did he look like a rookie quarterback, he looked like a not good rookie quarterback. He had no feel, no clock, was running into tackles, was running into sacks. It was bad. It was bad. Yeah, he's got the arm ability. But, so does Josh Booty. So does Jamie Howard. There's a lot of people that can stand there and hand cannon the ball and make all the throws in a quarterback tree when you're, on pro day. It's a difference to play the game in pro football and to know all the things and to get the ball out before you get sacked and to have feel. And there was none of that from Spencer Rattler.
Well, we knew the Buccaneers were going to do all kind of things defensively because it was a rookie quarterback, and they did, especially in the second half. There's so many times, you talk about that feel. There's so many times when he got sacked he got sacked because he's a rookie and he didn't have that feel. Now, is there any upside to him? Perhaps, because he can move a little bit, but that was just a pitiful effort combined with the fact that they missed 16 tackles. There's some pro football thing that monitors all that. And they had the highest number of missed tackles in the NFL this year, and the highest number in one game was yesterday with 16. The defense quit. They packed it in, and they were supposed to be what you could hang your hat on. They're 32nd in the NFL in yards allowed per game, 395 yards a game. That's dead last in the league. Ronnie, they play Thursday night against the Broncos. Sean Payton comes to town. This is not like Mrs. Benson. It's not like the Saints. But Friday morning is a perfect time to get rid of Dennis Allen, find an interim coach, whoever that may be, and start planning for going forward, because that which is going to happen eventually, get rid of Allen, is going to happen eventually. Might as well happen now. Now, I get it. You're not going to do it this morning because they play Thursday night. But Friday, there's the perfect time, but you got to burn up the phones this week, decide if there's a coach on the staff to be the interim coach, and there probably is, and then make a decision of who can you get going forward. And there's guys out there that would be quality candidates, but that's what I think has to happen for the New Orleans Saints. I mean, it's going to happen eventually. Might as well happen Friday morning with that extra couple of days to prepare for the game after that.
I know you're a fan of always cutting bait and firing a coach when you feel like you're definitely going to fire him at the end of the season. I I don't know. I don't know what the value is in it to the organization. Um, the fans are not going to be so excited. Now I'm going to go spend $200 a ticket and go to the game. Like, it's not going to make a difference at the box office. To me, when you fire the coach, you're officially acknowledging to not only the coach but the entire staff. Y'all are all fired at the end of the season, and then immediately, even though they may no, it doesn't look good, honey. We're probably going to be let go at the end of the season. It's the difference between that and we know we're going to be let go at the end of the season. Start selling the house. Start looking for other jobs. Start doing this. The distraction that comes with firing the coach and all the staff, because they're dead men walking at that point, to me is the juice isn't worth the squeeze, right? Because things start to get discombobulated. The players, everybody, I was Dennis Allen's guy. These coaches are the ones who believed in me. They're all going to be going, what's going to happen to me? Like there's just no positive in it. And it's not like the Saints are just a Dennis Allen change away from making a run. We knew this team was not whatever. I don't know what happened those first two games. Don't know who that was. Don't know why that was. But they're not that team now. They don't have that same quarterback. They don't have Taysom Hill. They don't have two offensive linemen. They're banged up on defense. They're a different team now, personnel-wise, and whatever that fool's gold was, somebody sold their soul to the devil for 2 wins and 2 wins like that. We thought this team was going to be like this. Like, we thought this is a terrible team. Take the under 7.5 before the season. They're not going to win anything. Well, that's who they are. And I just don't know. I agree with you, Tommy. The Dennis Allen era is over. This team quit. This team's atrocious. Bobby Hebert, Louisiana Sports Hall of Famer, last night on the postgame show on WWL, ripped the Saints, ripped Dennis Allen, ripped the effort, the lack of tackling, and all that kind of stuff. Dennis Allen stepped to the microphone and said, hey, it's on me, blah, blah, blah. I get it. He's gone. I just don't know in week 7 or 8 what's the real benefit to doing it. I think it's just more distraction.
Well, I follow what you're saying, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. And maybe what I was thinking about, it sends a message to the fans doesn't really matter, because there are people going to go to the Saints game. If they lose every game, they're going to show up the next week. You got your hardcore fans, and you got those people that like to go to 1 game a year or 2 games a year. That's going to be it. But the passion would change, and I mean, I don't know. It's just it's a tough situation. And there's also talk. Is Mickey Loomis, is his window closed as a GM with the New Orleans Saints? And maybe it is better to address that on Black Monday, what's that going to be, the first Monday in January or whatever. Maybe it is better to address it down the line. But I just, with that Thursday night thing, that if you're going to do it in the middle of the season and you're not named the Jets, kind of do it when you got those extra couple of days. There may not be somebody on the staff that they think can be the interim coach. I don't know.
First time, what was the stat I saw? First time since the 50s, since the Colts or something in the 50s, that a team got 3 interceptions, scored 27 points, and lost by 24.
They've joined a long list of dubious records this season, be it tackling, losing 4 straight. I mean, now, do they have injuries? Yes. All NFL teams have injuries. Detroit Lions lost their best defensive player yesterday in a blowout of the Cowboys. It happens, okay? It's part of sports. But you can't lean back in that in the NFL. It's got to be next man up, next guy up. Somebody else got to do the job, and it's just a tough spot for the Saints. That's 4 straight losses. Denver's 3-3. They're not beating the world up. They got a rookie quarterback. You got the whole Sean Payton story. I mean, who knows what's going to happen Thursday night in the Dome? All things say Rattler starts again. Does he improve a little bit? You would hope, but you can't count on that.
I would think on a short week, unless he's hurt, that you let him go.
Yeah.
There's no benefit at this point, I think, in switching it up. If you didn't switch it up during the game when you got beat 51-27, then on a short week, just let him go and see, and hopefully it gets better. But yeah, This is going to be interesting. Sean Payton coming home 3-3. His team's awful. Saints are awful. Something's got to give. Somebody's going to get a win. He's, by the way, going into the Saints Hall of Fame. They're going to have a luncheon Thursday at the Hilton Riverside in New Orleans, and then followed by him being honored at the game on Thursday night. A lot to get to. We'll talk more about it on Wednesday. Oh, by the way, Major League Baseball, the Dodgers. Anytime you pitch like the Dodgers are doing right now, Tommy, how many consecutive innings? They look like the World Series team to beat.
33 scoreless innings consecutive, which is a record in the postseason. It goes back to 66 when the Orioles had a pretty good pitching staff. But they are just flat out pitching and a little bit their bullpen is incredible. Starting guy Flaherty does a great job last night. I watched that game, and the Mets were never in it. Dodgers got a big inning early and just hung on. They'll play again today. Quick turnaround. They play at 3 o'clock today, and it's a bullpen game for the Dodgers. We all know what that is. And then tonight you got the Yankees hosting Cleveland. So the League Championship Series, best of 7, are both underway. Dodgers get that win last night.
All right, we'll be back on Wednesday morning for more Sports Shorts Daily. Until then, please like and share this video. And TK, on the way out, tell us about Court Street Cafe over in Port Allen, one of our great sponsors.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner. They got the nice patio out front. A bunch of people eating breakfast in this beautiful weather. Supposed to get a little chillier later this week. Connect on Facebook and Instagram. You'll learn all about the lunch specials, the weekly specials, the dinner specials, full-service bar that's right behind me. Court Street Cafe. Saturday night is steak night. The steaks come from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, filet, ribeye. It's very, very good. Their world-famous Sunday brunch, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on a Sunday with the bottomless mimosas. It's all at Court Street Cafe, just a couple of minutes over the Mississippi River Bridge from the Baton Rouge side. Very easy to find, very convenient to park, sit on a patio, watch the LSU game Saturday night during steak night. Jason and the staff do a super job. Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. We'll be back on Wednesday. We'll be over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. And don't forget to like and share this show. Please do that, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X. Like and share this show. That helps a lot. Have a good day, everyone.